All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Everything Cultural Podcast. Today, we'll be doing a preview and prediction for the Sun Belt Championship game between Troy and James Madison. Duke's lofty 20.5 point favorites. 47.5 is the total. 7 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN from Harrisonburg, Virginia. Going down Friday night. Looking at Troy's offense against that JMU defense. This is an interesting unit for Troy because they've really struggled over the past couple of weeks. They've gotten in gear a little bit over the last two, beating Georgia State and Southern Miss, posting 400-plus yards. Before that, though, they had back-to-back losses, double-digit losses. Well, they had less than 200 yards, including a 33-0 loss to Old Dominion. So this is an offense at times that just cannot manufacture much. Even against Memphis early on in the season, they only had 112 yards of offense. So they've been up and down. They've been able to manage, though, for the most part. This is a run game that is just abysmal. For the year, they're only putting up 109 yards per game. Haven't been very good in conference with less than 100 total per contest. Tay Meadows at running back's a respectable player, 685 yards and 5 touchdowns. You're not going to be able to count on this group to give you a whole lot, though, it seems. They stepped up for 132 against USM, which is respectable. They had 3 straight games before that, though, of under 65 rushing. 2 of those were under 30. So this is a team that just cannot run the football for the most part. It's not that good of an offensive line that also ranks dead last in sacks allowed. It's been a tough unit overall for Troy, but they're starting to manage as their quarterback has really been carrying them as of late. Goose Crowder's been playing some good football over the last 2. He had 285 yards against USM, and then before they had 361 and 4 touchdowns. So he's making things happen really by himself without an abundance of help. He does have a nice pass catcher in Ra Thomas. Of course, this is a former Georgia transfer, having a good season, 495 and 5 touchdowns. Trey Taylor's a nice deep threat for him. DJ Epps has a team-high 40 receptions. Ethan Connor is a respectable tight end with almost 30 grabs of his own. So they've been dishing out this football a lot to a variety of different guys. You're going up against the James Madison defense, though, that they're looking to take advantage of this weakness. Sheer West on the defensive line has 8.5 TFLs, has a great amount of sacks as well for this team, 4 of them on the year. Aiden Goberia, Xavier Holmes, Emmanuel Bush. This is a nice veteran defensive line. They've been crushing against the run this year in conference play. They're only giving up a staggering 68 yards per contest. So they're probably going to have a very favorable matchup edge, you would think, against this offensive line. Trent Hendrick at linebacker is an elite player, one of the best in the conference with 91 tackles and 6 tackles for loss. Very impressive group collectively for James Madison. They have to be stout in the secondary because this is going to be a pass-heavy approach from Troy. They've been good, giving up under 170 yards per contest. Opponents are held to 50% comp rate. They've snagged 12 interceptions, including 3 in a row. So this is a great group. Not many teams have been able to be efficient against them either. The highest amount someone's had all year was 68%. And that was all the way back in early October. So James Madison is a team that can limit efficiency from your pass game. They're not going to allow a whole lot of big plays. I remember I was watching that Old Dominion game. They gave up some big plays, mainly in that first half. Then after that, they completely shut them down the rest of the game. Justin Eglin, Elijah Culp have been very good outside at corner. And then at safety, Tyler Brown is having a phenomenal season in all regards. So this is a lockdown defense. And for Troy to keep pace, they're going to have to throw the football. And I think that's something they can do quite well because they're comfortable in these situations. But at times, you've just seen them be ultra ineffective on offense, and it's definitely staggering to watch. So it'll be interesting to see how this game goes. But it seems like James Madison's going to play with a lot of aggressiveness on this side of the ball. Moving to the other side of things, the JMU offense against that Troy defense for the Dukes. This is a team that's very effective when it comes to their ground attack. Alonzo Barnett's having an elite season, 459 rushing and 13 touchdowns. He also throws for about 200 yards per game and another 20 touchdowns. This is a team that's going to be a run-heavy offense, but they do have that balance. And, Barnett would probably have better numbers if they were forced to throw it more. This is a team that doesn't have a whole lot of production from its pass game, though. Landon Ellis, Nick DeGennaro, they are the 2 leading pass catchers. Wayne Knight has been a phenomenal player at running back for this team. He's their 3rd leading pass catcher with 368 yards, but he leads the team with over 1,000 rushing and 8 more scores. He's been a very effective football player for this team, been very consistent all year long as well. You also have another player in George Petway, who is a veteran in this backfield who really doesn't see as many touches, but if they need him to get involved, he can certainly handle that. And I think in this game, you're going to see James Madison look to run up the score because they need to make an impression for the committee to potentially get in as an undefeated team. So they're facing an uphill battle, and I think it's going to be all hands on deck for this group. Jordan Fuller, hasn't played the last couple of games. They're hoping to have him back. He's got 400 plus rushing this year. Overall, though, this is going to be a run-heavy offense that looks to utilize explosive plays to get into the end zone, and I think they're going to be playing with a lot of discipline in this one, kind of like this offensive line has been doing all year. It's a respectable group, nothing too crazy from them. No one that's really a standout up front. Zach Greenberg at center is having a good year. Pat McMurtry at right tackle is pretty good. I think this is a good group overall for James Madison going up against a Troy defense. Are they going to be able to hold them? That's going to be the biggest question mark. That's how they're going to stay in this game. They've not been good against the run this year. Last couple of games have been a little bit better for them. Held Southern Miss to under 100 and 156 against Georgia State. But they gave up 351 to Old Dominion. And Old Dominion is a team that runs the football very well, 237 yards per game from their own. So this is a very comparable opponent. They got absolutely slaughtered in that one, where they just completely dominated on the ground, and I think that's probably what's going to happen in this one. They gave up 300-plus yards earlier in the year against Texas State as well, so Troy's going to be facing an uphill battle. They do have some talented players, though. Donnie Smith coming off the edge is phenomenal, 11.5 TFL, 9 sacks. Jordan Stringer at linebacker also has 11 tackles for loss and 100-plus tackles this year. Jamal Williams up front also, so there's a talented group here. I think in the secondary, these guys are going to be tasked with having to make a lot of plays against the run. This is not a team that's going to look to throw the football all over you. They give up about 207 yards per contest. They have 9 interceptions, so it's not the worst group in the world. They've definitely had some of their own vulnerabilities, but I think in James Madison's case, they're just going to look to pound the rock, and they're going to do it very successfully. What are the final thoughts on the prediction for this game? I mean, 62-17. I mean, it's a very lofty score that I'm predicting here. But again, James Madison is going to look to run up the score as much as they can. If they can score 100 points, they're absolutely going to do it because, again, that's their only shot is to make the most impressive impression that you can when it comes to this committee when they're watching this game on Friday night. They'll be tuned in. They're going to be checking them out to try and get a boost into the CFP. At the same time, the AAC championship will be going down. And if those two teams struggle, it's kind of a back and forth, and James Madison's out here putting on a complete clinic, that might potentially give them that nod. Or I think the ESPN playoff predictor, for some reason, they gave them a 60% chance to make the playoff. Obviously that doesn't really read into the minds of what the committee's thinking, but it seems to be a legitimate possibility that if they put a whooping on Troy here, they can sneak their way into the playoffs. So I think James Madison to cover 20.5 is a great bet. I think the full game over, James Madison team total as well. Now, if they're just legitimately not that good, then obviously these are not going to come true and those bets won't hit and they're not going to win by that lofty margin. But I think James Madison, especially in this matchup, they truly are that good and they're going to have the football a lot. They're going to be able to create a lot of pressure on Goose Crowder. And this is going to be a complete beatdown. I see a big win here. I think this is a phenomenal opportunity to win some free money on James Madison in the Sun Belt title game. So I have them winning this one incredibly big in front of the committee to try and sneak their way in. That's going to be it for today's episode. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. See you next time.